silence screaming over mine. I hold this isolation deep inside, and I can't let it go. And I can't let it go. You say I never seem to get it right, but you're just broken bones and very lies. No, I need to fucking know why you're always so cold. I guess I'll ask the ghost and take you home. You deserve to be alone. You cut me to the bone and try to kill the fire in my soul. And every time I feel I've wasted every single thing I had on you, every memory keeps creeping in, and I love that you hate me too. Every time I feel I've wasted every single thing I had on you, every memory keeps creeping in, and I love that you hate me too. Now I finally see through your disguise, and you've lost yourself inside your lies. No, I need to fucking know why you're always so cold. I guess I'll ask the ghost and take you home. You deserve to be alone. You cut me to the bone and try to kill the fire in my soul. And every time I feel I've wasted every single thing I had on you, every memory keeps creeping in, and I love that you hate me too. Every time I feel I've wasted every single thing I had on you, every memory keeps creeping in, and I love that you hate me too. And every time I feel I've wasted every single thing I had on you, every memory keeps creeping in, and I love that you hate me too. Every time I feel I've wasted every single thing I had on you, every memory keeps creeping in, and I love that you hate me too. You hate me too.
Perfect fitting song, if you don't mind me saying so. Good morning, everybody. It's now 10 a.m. here in Canada land. It is a interesting day, or shall we say a couple of days. So a lot of you may not know this, or some of you may know. I am recording this as well, just to let everyone know if they soon tune into the VOD. But I don't. Right now, nobody's here, but I'm just gonna say it for the VOD. This is also being recorded, so yeah, this may be featured in an upcoming video. Jesus Christ, it's super early, and I haven't even taken a sip of my morning coffee yet. Just to help me get over the fact that it's, the PlayStation Day. We're taking a look at what's going on with the PlayStation. Because holy fuck, it is really dumb. as to what happened with the announcement of the PS5 Pro. So, 2 days ago, the PS5 Pro was unveiled to the mass market. Let me just get the announcement. Reveal. Is that what it is? The reveal trailer? Or where do you need to find this? Announcement. That's it. Here we go. Found it. Found it. Shut up. Stop it. Oh my god. Like, I'm looking at the likes to dislikes right now for this thing. Major oof. major oof on this thing. We're going to take a look at that a little bit. We're going to take a look at that. But first, I just need to get... Nope, I don't want you to play YouTube video. Because I do have a YouTube video on here. Because, you know, that... let's get the... Stop it. Sure. Just gonna do one thing really quickly before we do get started. Just want to try and get some people in here. Nothing around here, so... Oh, goody. I was about to say, why the fuck am I looking at Ryan Reynolds right now on Discord? Alright. Let's see what we... Yep, nope. Nothing really exciting going on with Discord right now, except having to promote it. But let me just also get some other... Oh, this is actually a much better, much better search result than I got right here. Actually, no. Yeah. Let me just take a look at the... Get the price up here. Yep, I found it. Perfect. And I'm sure the trailer also, or the announcement also has the PS5 Pro pricing as well. So just going to make sure if everything is all good. Oh, whoops. Yeah, no, I'm not going to say anything else because obviously it's already on. All right, let's get this shit show on the road, shall we? So, this was about 2 days ago. Number 12 on trending. Look at those likes to dislikes. Over 95,000 likes to over 183,000 dislikes. All because of this trailer or this announcement of the PS5 Pro. And we're going to find out why this thing sucked major dongs, or why this thing got the bad reputation that it got right now. Because quite honestly, like, when I first saw the pricing for the PS5 Pro, I will tell you, like, I was not impressed at it. And I think it is a major scam that happened. So let's take a look at the announcement trailer for this shit show of a console. Oh, it's sorry. The interweeps wasn't working. I just realized that till now. Man, this is a really bad. Yep, that's it. Very unprepared. Alright. Doing it again. See if now I get the... Yep.
Hi, I'm Mark Cerny. I'm excited to be here to talk about the newest addition to our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience.
I mean, it's not like the original didn't really do that. I mean, when you, like, the original PS5 already gave the exceptional, gaming experience, and, they had a reason for a lot of people to get the console compared to a PC. I mean, it was cheaper, but at the same time, PC was still stronger than the PS5 Pro. Kim, thank you for joining. We're now starting to watch this really, really horrible PS5 Pro release, because for fuck's sakes. Alright. Oh, oops. I did not realize that I was... Fuck.
When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed complex gameplay, with character counts reaching into the hundreds and frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second. PS5 has a powerful RDNA 2 GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass. And
well, I mean, all I'll say about ray tracing is that ray tracing is nothing but a gimmick. I had the misfortune of a morning phone call meet. Oof. That's all good. That's all good, Kim. But, I find ray tracing in general to be a major fucking gimmick, especially when it comes to a not so powerful console like the PS5. Like, compared to what you would get with the PC. The PC has much better ray tracing. Well, depending on which GPU that you're getting. If you're getting the AMD graphics, yeah, AMD graphics are not really going, or the AMD graphics cards are not really going to be the strongest compared to what NVIDIA has to offer. Especially now with NVIDIA's 3rd generation of RTX. But I still find ray tracing just a major fucking gimmick and not really the point of using or utilizing that often.
Realism that comes from real-time global illumination. A custom SSD can load data at breathtaking speed.
I mean, it's not like, there's already fast SSDs out there to begin with. Like, I've heard about the loading times of the PS5 compared to like a regular SSD for a PC. I don't think the PS5's SSD is not that. It's fast, and I'm glad that the console's got an SSD, but at the same time, it's too little, too late. You could have added an SSD back on the PS4. Hell, even on the PS4 Pro. Like, you had all this time to add an SSD in it.
Resulting in ultra-fast transitions between game worlds and data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
You okay? I'm working on it!
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the enemies to know exactly where they are.
I mean, that's all cool. That's all fine and dandy, But at the same time, it's like nobody really cares, Nobody cares about any of these features. What? And beyond the cutting edge of R&D tech availability, it's easier to be hindsight and hope for the best after the fact. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, it's like most of these technologies, if you're a casual gamer and just play on the couch, nobody's going to really care. You know, all of these like technologies and such, nobody's really going to care because we're just playing games on the couch far away.
Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character
I was being sarcastic.
is experiencing inside of the game.
I did not pick up on that. I'm sorry.
It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance.
Okay.
The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes.
I mean, yeah, I wish, okay.
It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second.
And I think that's one of the biggest jokes that you would ever see. Like, you have a powerful console, you know? Like, I'm talking about the ps5. You have a powerful console, and it's still running at 30 FPS. Like, that's one of the biggest jokes that you would ever see for a game console. Like, why can't you run these games at 60 FPS on fidelity? You know, like, why can't you do that? It really just doesn't make any sense.
The visuals can be choppier, and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize
A dedicated system running slow makes no sense. No, it doesn't.
frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second.
I mean, look, if you have performance mode, why can't you have it at 120 FPS or 120 hertz, you know? Like, instead of just locking it at 60. I mean, that's why the PC is way more desirable, because you can have all of this high unlocked frame rate and just go with it.
Mainly by reducing the graphical detail and
Honestly, like, just by the look of it, you can see it's a little bit sharper on fidelity mode, but at the same time, nobody's really going to care. And that PC is doing more than just games. Yeah, I agree. PCs are doing way more than just gaming. But you can see, like, even if you're far away from a TV or just playing games on a big TV, nobody's really going to care about the difference between performance with ray tracing. That's sad. Performance mode on ray tracing, and it's like nobody's really going to care about this kind of stuff because they're just playing video games
until those frame rates can be achieved. When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time. Removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3.
Oh, you know, it's not like, you know, the Big 3 is referring to the console wars. Thanks, Slotham, for mentioning that to me. But let's see what the Big 3 says. So, a larger GPU for the graphics. Sorry if my avatar is in the way, but, you know, it says larger GPU. Advanced ray tracing, which, again, nobody's really going to fucking care about ray tracing. So, what's the point, you know, of making the ray tracing better? And then AI-driven upscaling. That's really all the Big 3 is.
First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster.
I mean, if you're a gamer on a console, like, they're not really going to care. You know, like, they're, again, I'm just repeating myself. If you're a console gamer and you're playing games on the PS5, you're not going to really care about that. About that 45%.
Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5.
Just by the sound of that, it sounds like that they may just nerf the ray tracing a little bit on the advanced ray tracing. Just by the sound of it, they're probably going to nerf it, but who knows?
And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games.
I don't think that's how that works, isn't it? Like, when you have the super resolution, like, FSSR is a thing. It's the same thing. But what that does is that it dips the quality. Like, it's not going to enhance the quality. It's going to dip it.
Game creators are adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles, and with the big three involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
See, like, if you're going to be somebody that's playing The Last of Us Part 2, which don't, The Last of Us Part 2 sucks. Like, if you're going to be playing this game, you're going to play it not on fidelity. You're probably going to play it on performance. Like, if you have a powerful console like the PS5, you're going to play it instead of fidelity, because not a lot of people want to care about the graphics. They want to play the game at 60 FPS. So, I mean, cool, yeah, you get to have the best of both worlds on the PS5 Pro, but this you can just you could just drop it to performance. Okay.
Stop! We gotta lose.
This goal of delivering almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. We can
Sounds like trying to sell as facial recognition enhancement. Granted, no one wants to be stuck at 8-bit games, but it's about gameplay with nice graphics, not how pixel less muddy. Yeah, exactly, Kim. That's really my main excuse me, my main point with that. Like, people want to have, sure, yeah, having nice graphics is great, but at the same time, they don't want to have super choppy and very poor experiences with the games. So, if it was me, I don't care if I have to, drop the graphics settings. I mean, I do that with the PC anyways, because I'm kind of a frame rate whore. Like, I love me having higher frame rates. If it means that the graphics have to be dropped to medium, then so be it. But at the same time, with medium graphics at 1440p, they look just as good. Like, okay. To me, they just look good for me.
You can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5. Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second. What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5.
I mean, I'll say this, like, yeah, it's a little bit blurrier right there, but I don't think anybody's really going to care about how blurry the distant tower is. The detail is minuscule. It is. It's very minuscule with the details. I mean, sure, you can see right here that it's a lot more crisper, but at the same time, like if you're playing the game, nobody's going to care. Like the details are very minor.
For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet and Clank. Distant details are much clearer.
Okay. What is this? Why is this such an important thing, you know? Like, it still looks a little blurry from the distance here. But again, nobody's going to fucking care. No one is going to care about this. Because we're all playing we're just playing the game. So, it's very
And here
minor.
we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution.
This is what I wanted to see, and details only work based on the TV set's pixel ability. If it is still running through a funnel, the detail differences will get lost. It will, because like because the differences, yeah, they're very, yeah, I agree. But look at this. This is between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro for Spider-Man. This doesn't look any better. Like, it looks almost the same. Like, it's so minor. I mean, yeah, the trees are a little bit crisper here, but like, from a distance, from what I'm looking at in my Streamlabs setting on my Streamlabs browser, it doesn't look any different. It just looks the same. Like, this is so minor. Like, how I don't just like, oh my god, Sony.
And throughout the scene, including the trees and procedural cars. So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay.
The only thing I see is basically the exposure of a megapixel setting of a digital camera. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point there.
Is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost,
it's blowing smoke up my pant leg to justify the cost value of the console. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that because, ooh, this really put so many rustles up very many gamers' jimmies. We'll see. We'll take a look at that.
That extra graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects, as well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Again, like, that, nobody's gonna want to care. Nobody's gonna care about that. Because we're at a distance at a TV. You're at a distance at a TV playing these games. Nobody's gonna really care or notice these things. Because, ooh, game. You're gonna need to be that specific graphics whore that loves high graphics of a video game.
Open up, guys. Jorv's orders.
Good enough for me.
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference.
I'm going to press X to doubt on that because even with ray tracing, like, ray tracing dips your performance for the better visuals. Like, it's no wonder why it took NVIDIA so many generations to perfect it. You know? Because every iteration of ray tracing dips it. And if it is an action-intensive game, last thing one is doing to see if the detail of that tree branch is accurate. As you say, no one cares. Yeah. Nobody's going to care about, ooh, pretty graphics. Because if you're playing an action-intensive game, like Spider-Man 2, for example, you're not going to notice it because you're focused on the fight. or focused on the action that's going on. You're not going to just take a pause and then just gawk at the screen and drool over the pretty graphics.
Allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections.
See, and this would have been a good comparison if you added this between the two, instead of just games like Ratchet and Clank, The Last of Us Part 2, and, well, I mean, yeah, obviously Spider-Man 2, but you could have added Gran Turismo 7 and showed the difference. But I would guarantee that a game like Gran Turismo 7, which is not really a great game from what I understand, and besides, Gran Turismo lost its peak, or its value for me. Like, I care more about games like Forza and Need for Speed, because Need for Speed's a lot more fun compared to Gran Turismo, which is just straight racing, and Forza Horizon is a lot more fun of a game than something like Gran Turismo. But if you would have added this game and showed the comparison, I guarantee you it's going to be minimal. Like, if you're going to, like, it's going to be very minimal, because this is a very intensive game that you're going to be playing, because you're racing. You're trying to get to first place and try to win. Nobody's going to care about anything of the such. Partner loved Midnight Club because you can go rogue and drive on everything, including a damn pier, lol. The only Midnight Club game that I ever played was Midnight Club Los Angeles. I never really got a chance to play some of the other Midnight Clubs, but I loved that. I loved LA. Like, LA was so much fun. Especially the PSP port, because with the PSP port, you can go to Japan and race against the Midnight Club, which was one of my favorite parts of the game. But then I got Midnight Club LA for the Xbox, and I loved that game. Like, it was one of my favorite games that I played. It's just too bad that it's locked at 30 FPS. Which is a disappointment, for me at least.
Between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay, now, I can understand why a lot of people want to turn on ray tracing for Hogwarts, but at the same time, it's like, no. When I played Hogwarts Legacy, I never turned on ray tracing, because the thing with Hogwarts Legacy, this game was heavily intensive on the graphics, and if you turned on ray tracing for this, it dips your FPS, and imagine if you played this on on the original PS5. It's going to take a heavy hit on the gameplay, like frame rate wise. And even with the upgrade even with that 67% of the GPU performance, or the 45% performance uplift, I highly doubt that this game is going to run at a smooth 60 FPS with ray tracing turned on. Because the thing with the PlayStation, it's running on RDNA technology. It's running on RDNA. So, it's all under AMD's graphics settings. It's not NVIDIA settings. Like, AMD's graphics settings with ray tracing is getting better, but it's not on the same league as what NVIDIA does with the ray tracing. Not in the slightest.
Allowing not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of shadows.
Whoop-de-doo. Like, again, nobody's going to care about that. I mean, sure, if you're benchmarking, cool. But if you're just playing, like a lot of people would normally do, they're not going to care. And I know I'm repeating myself with this, but it's such an outstanding point that everybody's going to be making. Like, nobody's going to care about the graphics with this. They're just playing a video game.
I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family.
Oh my god, the pointy shadows got me all excited and enriches my gameplay because I got shadows.
Let me wrap this up by giving you a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
And from what I understand, I believe this music right here is going to be copyrighted, so I'm just going to pause it right here, or mute it right here, because now we're going to take a look at the design of the PS5 Pro. So they added this really dumb looking stripe right here to tell the difference between the PS5 Pro. Thank you, Dana Carvey's brother, for your narration. Oh, that's actually a good one. I didn't even think of Dana Carvey. I was thinking, like, this is a David Spade looking wannabe. Just by the look of him. So yeah, like this is almost cinematics. Nobody's gonna like, once you play the actual game and and you don't see all the cinematics going on, nobody's going to care. Like, oh, like, this is really, like, play the game, not show cinematics. There's a major difference with that. Oh man, Sony, you guys are so fucking dumb. Like, nobody's gonna pay attention to the cinematics of every single video game, because yeah, cinematics enhances the visuals. If Dana Carvey and David Spade had a kid, he looks like Dana, sort of does sound like David. Yeah, he sort of does. Like, all right, so I think that was Forza Horizon by the look of it. So, yeah, like, it's just all of the cinematics of the video game. Not the gameplay, not gameplays themselves, just cinematics, whoop-de-freaking-do, and price. So the console comes out on the 7th of this year. $700 US for this very impressive looking console. 700 euros for this thing. If you live in Europe, 800 Great British pounds for this console. And nearly 120,000 yen in Japan. Another $100, just crazy. It is. And I hate the fact that they said this. Vertical stand sold separately, and you have to buy the disc drive separately. So, on top of the $50 that you have to spend on the vertical stand, and another $80 added on top of this, you're paying almost $800 US for this console. That is a little minor hit on the graphics. And it's not really the greatest here in Canada too, because like, I've seen the price of how much it is here in Canada. Here in Canada, as you can see by Mobile Syrup, it's going to cost 960 Canadian dollars. $960 for a console that's not going to include the vertical stand and the disc tray, and it's going to include minor graphical upgrades, or very minuscule graphical upgrades. Like, it really does seem like Sony is trying to nickel and dime everyone over just the failure that Concord did. This was a speculation that I saw on Twitter last night, that somebody said that maybe the reason why Sony is upcharging $700 for the PS5 Pro is because they're trying to make up the loss of Concord. But I highly doubt anybody's going to pay 1,000 Canadian dollars or 800 US dollars for a console that's going to have minuscule graphics and it has everything sold separately. Like, no fucking thank you, Sony. Like, no fucking thank you. I could spend $960 on a much better PC and also a graphics card upgrade for my PC. Partner and I talking about even games are not coming down in costs a year later. Used to be they would drop in costs to be affordable a year later while new games came out. Jesus. And that's actually a good point. Like, so you also have to buy $70 or pay $70 for a new video game. And some of the games are not going to be dropping in price. That's a pretty good point right there. Excuse me. Very gassy. That's what coffee does to me. Jesus. A la carte PS is just nuts. It is. Like, PlayStation is just fucking batshit insane right now. Thinking that selling a console for $700 US, or even Australia is going to get fucked. They're going to be charging 1,200 Australian dollar dues for this thing. What the fuck is Sony thinking with the prices for this console? Like, I would not be it is not justifiable paying this much money for and also an upgrade to the SSD. A minor upgrade to the console itself, and also, like, you have to buy the vertical stand and the disc tray separately. You have to buy PlayStation Plus, which is probably going to be another $100 to wipe your ass with it. And you also have to pay $80 for a new video game, or $70 for a new video game. And that's going to come extra. So Australia is always high for tech because of the shipping import costs. I was shocked how much a simple basic PC keyboard averages. 50 to 60%. Yeah, Australia, like, their costs are, like, wicked. Like, I watched somebody who's a tech YouTuber from Australia, and seeing the prices in Australian dollars, woof, compared to, like, the US and Canada, Jesus. I feel bad for every Australian who has to pay 1,200 Aussie dollar dues just to play on the PS5 Pro. But I think everybody's going to have a much wiser thought, because, like, ain't no way anybody is going to pay that much money, and you cannot buy US or Canada because the tech won't work in their country. No, they have to have their own certain power adapter, of course. And you know what? I'll add a dislike to you, Sony, because, like, I won $1,200 playing Plinko on Stake last night. I can barely afford this now. Bad decision by Sony leaving the comment section enabled after announcing with that price point. Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, and this also includes tax. So if you're living in Canada, it's going to tax you up the yin-yang. Like, it's obviously going to cost over $1,000 just for this fucking piece of plastic. And however much more for, like, the disc tray and the vertical stand. That's going to be well over $1,100 for this piece of shit of a console. Like, I don't think anybody's really going to understand. Like, this really infuriates me to no end. Because, like, we're already living in an era where everything is heavily priced and taxed, that, you know, we can barely afford to live anyways. We can barely afford to buy groceries or anything of the such. And Sony is wanting to charge you $700 fucking dollars for this thing? Like, how about you go fuck yourself, Sony? You can go fuck yourself up the yin-yang. Like, no. I'm so glad that I skipped, like, this generation of consoles. The only console that I bought from this generation is like the Xbox Series S. And that console is super fucking cheap here in Canada. It's like $300. And for playing games at 1080p, you know, and I mostly play that console whenever I want to, if I want to play any Xbox 360 games. But that's only very rarely because I don't have Game Pass anymore. But the thing with that console is that it's so cheap, you can start playing next-gen games and have the capabilities of that. They are banking on those willing to buy it for their kids. Unfortunately, the more we buy it, the more we affirm their justification of cost. I just want to, I just want to bring that up to you too, Kim. Like, this was even this was something that me and a friend of mine even had. Like, and he even brought up that example on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it really quickly, because I do have it under my likes. Your likes are private. I don't care. Like, here we go. So, I honestly feel so bad for kids these days. I can never imagine looking at my mom or dad right in their eyes and being all, hey, can you buy me a PS5 Pro? It's only $700. They laugh in my face and make that running joke in the family for the rest of my life. And it's so true, because, like, I highly doubt any sensible parent is going to want to pay $700 for this piece of plastic. Like, in this, especially when if I were to say that to my parents back in the day, they would just look at me and say, no, you're not getting the PS5 Pro, because we're already in a financial crisis as is. My parents would just say, no, go fuck yourself. If you want it, go get a job and then pay $700 for it. So, and yeah, and JKB even said this right here. I'm not spending 1,200 Canadian on a PS5 Pro and disk drive add-on just for slightly noticeable upgrades in performance. Sony is beyond out of touch. This isn't a giant leap in tech. Example, you heard the Sephora 10-year-olds mom paying near $500 for skincare and makeup for age 10. Fuck. Yeah. And then Mr. Medicare said like this: bad news from the doctor today. When in explaining new symptoms and that I was considering buying a PS5 Pro, and he diagnosed me as retarded. Apparently I'm not dying, just mentally disabled. And that's actually a good point. Like, if anybody is willing to spend that much money, I would consider them mentally retarded right there, because ain't no way. Like, if you're gonna and I've even said this on my own post here on Twitter, to anyone who are capping for the price of the PS5 Pro, you are going to be the ones that will go homeless. So you and I agree, our parents at our age would say, yeah, kid, you lost your mind. Sadly, younger gen parents are paying for crazy prices. It's why the price tag. Yeah, it's so sad. Like, it's really the point to where I think any new parent out there needs to grow a fucking spine. Because, let's just face it, no one's gonna want to spend this much money on this fucking console. Like, no one's gonna want to buy this. Like, if you're gonna be the one that has to pay for this much on a PlayStation, it's either you get a fucking job and pay for it yourself and then experience how hard it is to buy something that expensive, or you can just keep on using the original PS5. Like, it's so baffling on the idea that Sony is willing to charge this much money, because can we just get the next video game Crash started? Young gen parents are easily influenced by social media hype. They are peer pressured by the perception you have to own it to be on the trend. This is why I'm so glad that I'm not a parent, and I'm fucking 30. I'm so glad that I don't have kids of my own. But if I was a parent, ain't no way I'm letting my kids have a PS5 Pro. I'm going to say to them, once you're old enough, you can go out there and pay for it yourself. Because no way I'm spending that much money on you. We're already broke as is. So, yeah. Long story short, the PS5 Pro is a major waste of your money. I wouldn't want to spend my 1,000 Canadian dollars, on this fucking console. Also on top of with having to buy the $70 to $80 games, but here in Canada it's like almost it's like $90 for a fucking video game, and it's like about 120 Canadian dollars for the high end PlayStation Plus subscription. So, yeah, Sony, no. What I told my son, I am willing to pay $200 what I would pay for a console. You want it? Save for the balance. It's about life goals. You need something to look forward to versus getting it all now. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was something I learned a little bit too late for that. Or no, that wasn't true. That's not true. I learned that like when I got my first MP3 player. I saved up money for that thing, and then I bought it. And then I even saved up money to buy my first laptop. And, you know, and that was something that I was very proud of with saving money, was learning the value of saving money. Whereas, you know, with kids today, and with parents today, or with any social media influencer, they're just like, ooh, new thing, gimme. Like, I even said it in my post on Twitter. If you're somebody who's justifying that $700 price increase, or if you live in Canada, you're gonna be the ones that are gonna go homeless. And I bet you took extra care of it because you understood the value of your money spent. My laptop, yeah. The MP3 player, I think I gave it to my mom, and at the time, my sister's dog chewed it up because it was a very cheap ass MP3 player. Like it was not really anything that crazy. And yeah, my laptop at the time, I used it very heavily throughout my time in high school, and then or finishing up high school, and then I used it later on in life, and then I ended up having enough money to buy my first desktop. So it gave me the whole perspective of saving money, and then you can get yourself something nice and shiny by just working hard for it. So, yeah. All I want right now is the next video game crash to happen. That's really all that I want. So then all these game developers and all these like gaming companies can understand that gamers are a lot more smarter than you think, and nobody's going to want to spend this much money on a fucking piece of plastic that enhances the graphics very minusculely by a minuscule level. So that's really all I have to say about this whole PS5 Pro bullshit here. And I think that's going to cut it, because I have been live for almost an hour, and this is going to be like a quick stream, because I wanted to stream this whole thing and take a look at this whole thing myself. And I even had this whole stream recorded, because this is going to be in a video, because I really do find this whole PS5 Pro the controversy for this console to be just a major shit stain on Sony. Like, no way, Sony. So thank you so much, Kim, for joining in. And also, this VOD's going to be staying up Remember, like and subscribe for commentary and gameplay, even though there's not much gameplay. All right, that's going to cut it. So thank you so much for tuning in, and also for anybody watching the VOD, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, please help me get to monetization so that I could do this as a side gig. And who knows, if this does end up being a side gig, I can use it to save up money. I'm joking. But anywho, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you all next time with the Sony video or with the PS5 video whenever that comes out. And it's also going to be a collab as well. So have a great day, night, afternoon, whatever time it is in the world for you. And I will catch you all next time with a new video and or stream.